Everybody, welcome to another Making a Geek. I am Damien DiCarlo. I am joined with my awesome co-host James Creviston. Hey,
How's it going? Good to see you again.
good man. It looks like seriously you don't age a day.
I don't. I don't ever age. I sleep in a one of those cryo chambers I've read so much about, and I drink all my vitamins and all that stuff. I'll
I
take
don't
all the
even know
good.
if it's true, but I've read a lot of these little posts that are like I don't know what you'd consider them, but on Instagram, like these factoid like things where people have like frozen themselves to this day. They haven't been woken up, and they're going to be woken up in 100 years. Like I don't know if that's real or if it's just like one of those tabloid things you see on in the grocery stores.
Well, the one that keeps coming up on my feed is like it's colon broom, but it's like the other thing where like you take this pill, and then it gets rid of your fat thing, and like supposedly it was on Shark Tank, and I've like Googled the heck out of it. I can't find it. I'm like, listen, I want to get rid of all the fat on my body. How do I do this? If there's a magic pill, I will take it. But it doesn't. It's not real. I don't think.
Our whole country and society is all about the pills. Give me the pills.
Yeah.
um,
Listen, if there's a pill, if I could take one pill a day and get rid of my dad bod, I'm into it, man. Like I want to look like Chris Hemsworth without any of the work.
yeah, that's exactly America.
Yeah,
All results no work.
I'm
Uh,
America.
Speaking of things in America, I am so excited about our guest. I have someone with me, but I can't even begin to tell people what she does and do it justice. So I'm going to let her do it. We have our good friend Kate is on the show. How's it going, Kate?
Hey, what's up, you guys?
How's it
Welcome
going? Welcome.
to the podcast world,
Thank
world, world,
you.
world, world. That's me echoing for the people that can't see that on YouTube.
I'm
Um,
very excited to be here, be here, be here, be here.
So, Kate, I just want to get into what you do first because I know a lot of people would love to know more. The ones I do know that you're going to be on the show and get to watch you, but tell us everything about you as far as like first, where are you from? Like, what got you to do what you do and what it is that you do for a living that I was so interested in when we talked.
Yeah, absolutely. I am from Ventura County. I have been obsessed with, I won't say the company name, but the company with the big mouse, been obsessed with well, I guess I'll just say it. I've been
You
obsessed
can
with
say it.
Disney,
Yeah.
Disney and everything since I was a little kid. I was the absolute, atypical little girl with every Halloween I wanted to be a princess or a fairy and I am also a theatrical performer. I'm a singer. I've been doing musical theater and band like my whole life. Um, my mom is actually a band teacher, so that's what got me into band. But I feel very lucky for my musical training.
Yeah.
So what I do is I own a party entertainment company called Practically Perfect Parties.
Good name.
Um, Thank you. And we serve Ventura County and any surrounding areas. We have several characters that we offer, well, more than several now. It started off with me in a Party City Elsa costume. Um,
Nice.
and when I lived in Illinois, I started it there, and that was really fun. So,
You're originally from Illinois?
no, so actually, my parents are from, they went to school in Illinois, and my grandmother, she still lives there. So I moved to Illinois to take care of my great grandmother and my grandma. I lived there for a few years, and when you're in California, you look everywhere. There's party entertainment companies everywhere, but in Illinois, there's nothing, not unless you're in Chicago, and I was about 5 hours south in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
There was definitely a need for magic there. The reason I started the company is because I want that magical experience to be accessible to everybody for those, the kids that can't go to Disneyland,
Right. So
every year. And yeah.
So
That's
when
sweet.
you lived in Illinois for what couple of years or how long?
Yeah, on and off. I came home for a few months. I was on a failed Netflix show. For a few months, I actually was let go because I was told I don't look like the other girls because I'm a little I'm not I'm like mid-size, but the other girls were like size zero, Instagram influencers. They weren't even actors.
They have that fat pill that I was talking about, Damien. That's what they're
That's
taking.
what it is. It's all for insides.
Yeah, but yeah, I lived there for 2 years, 2.5 years on and off. Um,
I guess what my question is, which is why I kept asking about Illinois, because I've never been there, but as being a native growing up here in California and as yourself, so I think that we're used to seeing, like you said, the entertainment business. We're used to seeing Disneyland is very accessible for us, but for people out, say Illinois, like what is that like? Do they just fascinate over? Do they ask all these questions, or on their bucket list, can't wait to get to Disneyland someday?
well, it was definitely interesting because especially in Illinois, everybody was into it. In California, it's usually the parents who are more impressed and the kids are like, "Nah, I see that all the time." But
Right.
in Illinois, it was just everybody. They look at you with this like just this face, this smile of like, "Oh my gosh, Elsa's in front of me," or Ariel, and it's just incredible. And to be able to give that community, that super small, middle of nowhere community, that sense of a big town magic,
Right.
was really cool.
So essentially, I mean, you just to kind of put it in a in a pill and swallow. Put this in a pill. You basically get dressed up, and you as a princess, a Disney princess. You go to these events or parties that they hire you to bring them the magic that they can't go and visit at the park that day. Essentially,
Yep, yep, that's it.
Literally every girl's dream her entire life. Dress up as a princess,
you get
get
to
paid to be a
for it.
princess,
Yeah.
and go to parties.
Yes, there was that trend going around on Facebook for a while that was describe your job poorly. Um, and mine, I think the way I phrased it was I go to children's birthday parties and pretend to be someone they love.
There you go.
And I was like,
Better.
that's the best way to describe
Oh man, that's perfect.
in the least creepy way possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I have to add that little part in.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
So you could do this job badly. I'm sure some people could dress up and not be totally zoned in on the character. What do you have to do to prepare? By the way, I've heard Kate's voice. She does a princess voice that's crazy cool. If you
Wait.
like to
It,
do
like
it,
one princess voice, or she could do multiple
I
princesses?
don't know. This is where
All of them.
you'll kind of help us out here, Kate.
I
Can we play a game where you do a voice and we have to
Sure.
guess? Yes. Boom.
Sure.
Okay. I have daughters, so I should be good at this. If I suck at this,
Okay.
I'm terrible.
Okay. Anna, you can't marry a man you just met.
I think the name gave it away, but go ahead.
Yeah.
You guess because you're the dad.
Well, it's got to be Elsa at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
okay. Here's a better one. I just don't see how a world that makes such wonderful things could be so bad.
I'll let you go, Damien. I know this one right off the bat. This is every girl's favorite.
Yeah, which is why I guess I'm a little lost. I haven't kept up with the latest Disney movies as much.
Latest? We're talking
Latest?
like 1996,
Is that-
maybe. I don't even know if it's even
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Latest, you kids. I'm old. Can't you see the gray on my beard? I just turned 50. No, I'm lost. Who is that?
It's Ariel.
There's the Little Mermaid right behind her.
Yeah.
Behind Kate, there's a drawing of the Little Mermaid.
Yeah. It was 100% Ariel. I don't know how you didn't get that.
I don't know. I need to. I'm too out. I'm too out there.
Can you do Belle? Can you do Belle?
Yes. I can't believe he asked me to marry him. Me, the wife of that boorish, brainless.
That's really good, actually.
Really terrific. So you're basically just you're capable of even just voice acting this if you wanted to just be on a microphone.
Yes, so I am actually a trained voice actor as well. I took
Okay.
voice lessons since I've been taking voice lessons for probably 10 years. And the basis of my voice lessons, because I knew I wanted to do this, is, when I was 18, 19 years old, I was like, I want to learn how to do impressions. I want to learn, the vocal placement for so I can discover the vocal placement for any character. So that's like, so if I wanted to do Snow White, for example, my favorite pie is gooseberry pie. What's yours?
Oh,
Like,
Wow.
like
that's so cool. I
I
think
can
that's
just
the
kind
voice
of
I first heard when I
switch.
first talked about it. I was
Yeah.
like, wow, that is
That
so
one's, you know what? That's one of the only ones I don't do because I've never had a request for it.
wow.
So
Really?
Okay.
and I want to say like the oldest, um, time wise, the oldest princess I think I've ever done is Sleeping Beauty, is Aurora. But I find that the kids have no idea about the story.
Yeah.
It's just
Right.
she's a pink princess. She wears a pink dress, and that's the parent goes, "Oh, they like pink, that's fine." And
What
you
would
know,
be her now that it's kind of a rare one out of your toolbox here?
ooh, I think for that one I'm better at like
Just
the singing. I think for definitely for Aurora, but
course,
the
voice acting and singing.
ah, like the.
Jeez, there's nothing you can't do. I mean,
Wow.
this is a whole package deal, so they're getting the real thing when they see you.
I would like to think so. Yeah, and it's so much fun, and I do a lot of community outreach. For me it's more about the accessibility, less about them. I mean, of course the money's nice, but it's more about the accessibility and bringing that magic to people who normally wouldn't be able to have that.
Is this
I
So
something
like it.
that's done just directly through referrals, or how do you get your people to find you?
I have been doing a couple of public events. Sometimes I join We Are One Market. They're like flea markets that they do in, I guess, all across Ventura County now. And then I did the Camarillo Greek Festival a little while ago. And we performed as Greek goddesses, and we got to hang up our thing, our little sign, and hand out business cards. But most of the stuff, I mean, honestly, is you do one party, another parent sees you and they go, I want to hire you for my kid's party. And that's the biggest thing, is they have to see it. Otherwise they're like, I don't know, like that could be weird, but they
Right.
have to see it first, really.
So I see you have a Spider-Man on your roster.
Yep.
Do you need a fat Thor? Because I think that one I could do.
Fat Thor coming in.
Fat
That
Thor,
would be
baby.
amazing. If I ever get a request, I'll let you know.
All right.
You with the blown wig, I would literally pay to see that.
Yeah, right?
Put
I
me
can do
in.
Fat Thor.
I want to be Fat Thor too.
Who doesn't?
Yeah,
um,
we have a roster of male performers as well. We are also going to be soon introducing, we're calling them Galaxy Masters.
Oh, okay.
So
Jedi's.
they'll come and do Jedi training, and you'll do an obstacle course and trade in a little crystal, a kyber crystal, for a, dinky plastic lightsaber, but to
wow.
the kids it's real. So, but it's going to be really
Too
cool. I
bad
have a
there's no fat
couple.
Jedis. Right? Where's there no fat Obi-Wan, right?
I
Jamie?
mean,
Why is everything fat
it's
with
all
you?
generic.
Because
So
I'm fat.
you,
I'm going to be honest.
I mean, it's all generic. So our performers for that actually get to make up their own character. So
Oh,
I
cool.
mean, if you got Star Wars knowledge,
That's something that
you
Jen
know,
are very good at.
yeah, I have the guys from my Star Wars D&D group that are
Ooh,
There you
coming
go.
to do that. So
that's really awesome. You get to reach all these different communities and different like parts of pop culture. Is this something that you continue seeing yourself doing for the foreseeable future? Do you see is it still going? Is that the idea?
well, at some point, I'm lucky enough that I'm in my 20s and I look like a 16-year-old. But at some point,
I don't know why that is really funny.
I do have to age out of it. And I mean, even transition to playing fairy godmother or something else. But I do see myself, at least running the business for as long as I can. It's
Right.
incredible. So
Yeah, no,
Well, it
that's
would also give actors, another income revenue stream or something like that, those kind of
yeah,
things, because that's
and
very
yeah,
important. So,
absolutely. It's definitely, and what I found is through talking with some of my performers, like I was talking to one of my performers, her name is Ashley, and she said that it's given her so much performance confidence because the whole thing is improvised. I mean,
Right.
you kind of have to think on the fly, and those kids are going to ask you questions like, Ariel, why are you wearing a tail, but also we can see your feet? Like, you got to answer the questions like that. And it's like, oh,
That
well,
was a question I had actually, so that's
yeah. So, for me, the answer, and that's on, I have a list in my training guide of questions that I have found are more difficult to answer. That is one of them. I usually say, well, my father, he used his Triton to give me this very special tail that I could still have my legs and visit him and my sisters under the sea. That's my answer for that. And
And kids will be just totally brutally honest with their questions. Why is your
yeah.
hair
yep.
less red than Ariel's red hair? Like, like what's going on?
Yes. Oh, well, I was, you may not have noticed, but this is my hair, and I was born with this hair, and
Yeah,
this is just the outfit that I decided to wear today. That's kind of the generic answer for that. The best one though is Rapunzel because we
right.
use the braid, and at the end of the movie he cuts off her hair and it's short and brown, and kids are like, why do you have a braid? And I'm like, well, I used my magical tears to grow back my hair, but not as long as it was in the movie because it would get very tangled. um
I love
Nice.
it. Oh man, you
yeah.
turn into like a salesman when you're doing this pitch. You're just like, hey kid, check this out. I got something else out of this bag. Look at this. Woo.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And my retail sales experience has definitely come in handy with
I bet.
the art of at least distraction, of
Yeah.
like, oh, look at this, um we I have had some mishaps happen though with costumes that are
Yeah, tell us
pretty
about that. What
interesting.
what are some good stories of the stuff that's happened to you?
So I was at a party 3-4 weeks ago and I was Elsa, and this child comes up to me while I'm doing balloon animals and he's pulling on my cape. He goes, Elsa, Elsa. And I'm like, yes, how can I help you? And he goes, Elsa, it's my birthday. And his mom is standing there. She goes, it's not your birthday. Like, and I kid you not, he pulls one too many times on that cape.
Oh
And it's
no.
just on there with snaps. And it just comes off. And I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, little prince, you ripped off my cape. No, that's not very, very princely of you. That's not very kind. And he looked at me and he with those big eyes and he just goes, Elsa. And I was like, whose kid is this? Like,
You only know one thing. You're like, I am Groot. Like you keep saying it again and again.
and some of them do that. The littler ones, you'll walk into their party and they'll go, Anna, Anna, Anna. And that's all they know how to say. And they're just like, oh,
Just got to read through the, the minutia and
yeah. My favorite is what kind of balloon animal do you want? Do you want a kitty cat, a dog, a flower? And they'll go, Elsa. And I'm like, nope, I don't even. Are you asking for? And I was like, cool, a doggy. All right, cool. Here you go. Here's your dog.
That's all I had, kid. Go away. So when you do this, Kate, tell me about or do you call them co-workers,
I call
cosplayers,
them, yeah.
co-painters?
So there is definitely like, because I would say that I am a cosplayer because I do collect the
Sure.
costumes, but I refer to the people that work with me. I just call them my performers.
Okay.
Um, and I think right now I have a roster of about 10,
Wow.
maybe a little bit more. Yeah, I think we just added on a few more guys, so a little
Okay.
bit longer.
Now I saw you had a Flynn rider at one party or whatever. What other princes or male characters for that kind of world do you also
That
have?
was my question.
Well, first I'd like to say that was my fiance. He
Oh,
begrudgingly,
he did a great job. He was a great Flynn rider.
he's very handsome. And he does the
I
smirk
didn't say
very
that.
well.
There you go. So about the smoke.
Um,
Yeah.
The smolder, the smolder. Um, we have Eric, Prince Eric, Flynn Rider, and then we have, as far as princes, that's all we have right now. Those are the only ones that have ever been requested. The princes don't really get a lot of love, unfortunately.
All right.
But
Now I have the true question for you. I know you have Belle up here or whatever. So there's no Beast shows up, but is there a Gaston? Because I'm gonna be honest with you. To me, he's the hero of that entire story. I know that's a hot take, but
no,
he's the
I
hero.
totally
We're
agree with
opposite.
you.
I agree.
He was just living his life, doing it, doing his thing, and that girl messed it all up for him.
Yeah,
You know. Uh,
you have to see it from the other
we do
side.
not have a Gaston. I do think that that would be super fun though, because the interactions that you can have between, both Belle and the
Yeah.
other, the other adults at the party. I think you can. That'd be really fun. But
James, do not ask if they need a fat
Fat
Gaston.
Gaston. I was
You're
about.
not
How
fat.
how
You're
can you read
not
my
fat.
mind? I was like, do you need a fat guy?
You are not a fat guy. That's it. Conversation over with that.
I
Um,
always have the argument about Gaston with my friends. So they do not believe he is a hero. I think he's the hero of the story.
yeah,
And
it's all about perspective, right? I mean, there's always
it really is.
that talk about Magneto and the X-Men. Is he doing really what's wrong? Like, it's just about his kind, and he's being
Yeah.
so it's always like that twist of like seeing it from the other point of view. But uh, so Kate, when you again, this is I have so many questions still on this. Do you how confident do you have to feel before portraying these characters? Before you do it, like how much research, homework, and watching and rewatching did you have to do?
so when I first started, I was only 19, and I was super nervous. I would go to every party, like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I totally blanked on my first party with the story for Frozen, which I've seen 100 times. The Elsa performer looked at me and she goes, "Okay, Anna, do you want to tell the next part of the story?" And I went, "No," I just froze. I forgot everything. But as far as the preparation goes, I try to just remind myself I actually have guides for my performers for every single character that includes poses they do, their makeup, and then a list of like their friends, a list of their just like a basic summary of their story. So all of that, I have one for almost every character. And it's really fun because the kids believe everything you say. You put on that costume and you could tell the story totally wrong, which I've accidentally done before. And they're like, uh-huh, uh-huh. Like they believe every word you say. Honestly, it's the parents that make or break a party. If the parents are
Really?
not into it, it's awkward.
Weird.
Uh,
Yeah, because if they're not fully supporting you, I could see it being like this is just taking me out of character. Kind of like you're at a party and there's just the one dude that's just a buzzkill.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
what part of the parents takes it out of it? Is like because I would assume as a parent, I would assume I would get the performer, send him out to entertain my kids while I did stuff in the kitchen or got other stuff ready. There's no need for me to interact with you whatsoever. You know what I'm
So
saying?
we actually
That's what I'm
have a
asking.
clause in our booking that says we are not a babysitting service. There
Ah,
must be one adult present for every 5 children.
oh,
So there must be adults in the room, also just for safety, because, like,
yeah,
they don't know us and just,
Yeah, you're performing. You're not
smart.
babysitting.
right. So what I mean by that is if the adults are not enjoying the story, if they're not, so what we do during story time is we don't just read the book. We ask questions. We're like, okay, what are the four most important words to begin any story? Once upon a time. That's right. Can we all say that together? Once upon a time. And once upon a time in the kingdom of, does anyone know what that is? And the parents sometimes are like, Arendelle, I know it. I know that one. They're like, I know all the answers. And those are the best
You give them a
parties.
look. You're like, can you stop?
It's for the
Yeah,
kids. It's
it's for the
for the
kids.
kids, not for you, drunkie.
Although I can't say any, I would be a hypocrite if I was saying that because as a fellow Disney adult,
Yeah.
I get very excited when we're talking about Disney, so I totally get it. I'm like, oh yeah. Um, but yeah, the parents sometimes they'll sing with you. They'll like you said, they'll have their white claw and they'll be like, "Part of your world," like in the back. The kids are all sitting on the
You're
ground in
throwing
front
you
of
off.
you. Yeah, and I'm like, oh boy.
So tell me some stories doing this that would be. We've heard some disaster stories with the Cape, but what would be some stories that truly stick out with you, even touching, experiences?
Yeah.
What have you been, seeing?
So there was this one time I went to this party when I was working in Illinois, and I had to drive really far. It was about an hour drive, which for people who live in Illinois, an hour drive is like a day trip and then you spend the night. Because they don't go anywhere. And that was to the next town over. It was like an hour to get there. And I got there and this family, they had rented this whole community center rec room for the party, and there were only three. They had this whole table set and there were only three kids that showed up.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
So I had um we just had the best time. I just tried to give each kid the individual attention as much as I could. And we played games. I stayed a little extra. And at the end, the kid hugged me and she wouldn't let go. But my rule is I have to hold the hug as long as the child does because you don't know how bad they need it.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm always the last one to let go of a hug. And of course, we always ask, we say, oh, would you like a hug? Would you like a high five? All that stuff just to make sure. But this kid just came up and they hugged me and they're like, thank you for making my birthday the best. And that was like one of
Yeah.
the first parties I had done by myself. And I was like, oh, my heart. I was like, this is the best. Like,
Yeah.
and she was like, I don't, the mom, she tipped like $500 because she was like, nobody else came to the party, but she didn't
Oh.
even notice because like
Because
you
of
made
that.
her day. And I was like in tears. I was like,
I
Yeah.
can't
oh,
imagine. I can't imagine what that kind of experience would do. I mean, other than the stories I hear of performers visiting those that are ill or terminally ill, like that's the
yeah.
kind of thing that really, truly is a different realm, different experience from anything else I've ever known.
Yes. Yeah, I also went to the lighthouse, the shelter for women and children in Oxnard, and I got to bring Mirabelle, and I ended up just going, and then I did just for fun, we did little nail polish manicures for all the women there while Mirabelle was with the children. And one of the parents said to me, they're like, he's seen the movie 100 times, but we've never been to Disneyland. I will never be able to take him to Disneyland in this lifetime. But because of you volunteering, like he gets this experience. He gets to meet one of his heroes. And like he had all these questions for the performer and he was like, where's Bruno? Where's Isabella? And it was the cutest thing. It was so
Wow,
sweet.
That
that
is
is
cool.
really amazing. So you just have the best job in the entire world. This is really,
Yeah.
really amazing. I can't believe that. I just never it never occurred to me until I had talked to you about this. Uh, that this kind of work existed, other than Disneyland and Disney World, and
Yeah.
it's pretty.
It's yeah, go ahead.
No,
Do
Sorry.
you
it's
ever?
pretty neat. That's all I was gonna say.
I was gonna say, do you run into any issues with this? Because you're, yeah, I mean, I know you don't have them unless you just have photos of the characters, which I think is probably the smart part there. But like, do you run into any issues or haven't ever had any issues with any of that stuff?
All of our characters are generic and not name brand, and it is not the intention of Practically Perfect Parties to violate any copyright or trademark laws.
Fair enough. Good job.
Wow.
That's what I was like, how does this work? Because there's got to be like right. You don't have the names up there, which I think is smart. You just have a photo, and that's so it's up to me to decide who that character is, right? So that I like it a lot. You
Yeah,
did a good
so
job.
like on our website we have to find the character you want, you just click on their photo. And then it
Yep.
opens up a page, and then it does say a name. So, like for Moana, it says Voyager Princess.
Right.
For Rapunzel, Rapunzel is not a Disney owned name, so she's Rapunzel. But Flynn Rider, Eugene, he is Rapunzel's prince, or Ruffian prince, or whatever. Ariel is just mermaid princess and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So,
Snow Sisters, and then
mhm.
for Belle, it's Beast's Beauty. That's a great one. So that's good. I like that there is that you have done it that way. I was trying to figure out like how you get around it. So that's really smart. That's a really good way.
It was a lot of this, Kate, just kind of figuring out as you went, like as you were going.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't call them mistakes, but there were a lot of things that looking back on my first few parties that I did that I would have done differently, and it's every party's a learning experience for sure.
Right. And you've been doing this for, again, how long?
4 years?
4 years? Yeah,
Five, five actually. This November it'll be my fifth year.
okay.
Wow.
So 5 years of this kind of experience, and you see yourself going further. Do you have ever plans to, cosplay or perform, say, at a Comic Con or to D23, or, those kind
I
of things?
I would love to. That's I actually went to mini Comic Con in like at the Ventura. It was like when I was in high school, I went to like mini Comic Con, but I've never been lucky enough to be able to go
Same.
to like actual Comic Con or D23 or anything like that. So, but
Yeah,
I'd love to. That'd be
I
so
think it
much
would be
fun.
really great there. I've gone for years, and I see cosplayers like in what you would be dressed in, but they don't they lack the performance, which is something that I think would be wowing everybody because they try, but in the end of the day, they're just trying to get the look down for photos, and I don't know if all of them necessarily want to get into the character the way you do. But that would be really cool. I would love to see that if you opened up
Yeah.
that business to more of the rest of the cosplayer community and those in the comic book realms that are so familiar with it that they would just get a kick out of just seeing it happen.
Yeah, well, for me, part of dressing up like the character, looking like the character is your physicality, the way you stand, the way, you move your hand, everything. It's down from the top of your head to the ends of your toes. Like you have to fully be that character, and you have to know every single character, what their little nuances are, what their quirks are, how Anna walks versus how Elsa walks, and that's something that I do talk about with my performers when I have them in training is we discuss each character and we talk about, okay, how do they walk? Watch their movie, look at how they walk, or even watch other performers, that are why I have some reference videos that I love to use. And you get to see how these other performers, how they move, how they just fully embody the character.
Well, this is great. I really can't wait to go through the training and be your next princess. Thank you so much for all this, Kate. I really, 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 really wish you the best. I really,
Wait,
really
I
Thank
have
you.
hope
questions.
you
I
do
still have
more.
questions.
No, no, you're done. I'm just kidding. Yes, James. How,
Well,
how can we help you now?
well, here's my question. How long is the party thing? Like how long is the princess there? Is it an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours? Like how does that work?
So I try to avoid having my performers, including myself, in costume for longer than 2 hours.
Okay.
So generally, right now we offer two different lengths of parties for princesses, and that's an hour and then an hour and a half.
Okay.
I find that any longer than that, unless you have a huge attendance at your party, you're going to be standing there going, okay, let's play Princess Says one more time, let's play
Gotcha.
Simon Says one more time, and it's just too much time. But again, through trial and error, I've found exactly the amount of kids that works for each character, and then the activities we can add on for that extra half an hour for the party if they want that.
That's awesome. And then you said you do mostly Ventura County. I live on the Ventura County, LA County border. But how far do you, what's the distance that your business would be willing to travel to go to somebody and stuff? And you tack
So
on more for that going further.
So we will go anywhere. However, if you are over 20 miles from Camarillo, the home base is in Camarillo.
Okay.
If you're over 20 miles away from that, we do charge a travel fee. So
Sure.
I've gone to Monrovia. I used to work for a company when I first started here in California, and I would drive to Orange like every weekend. Like I would do
Jeez.
2 3 hour car rides each way
Oh.
just so I could perform and be a princess because it was I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And I still think this is the coolest thing ever.
Right. So that other company, then you started doing it in Ventura, which is probably actually needed because if there were, I'm surprised Orange County needs it though. That seems odd to me because Disneyland's right there, right? Doesn't that throw you
Yeah,
off?
yeah. So unfortunately, there are about 15 other companies in Ventura County alone, I believe.
Wow.
So it is really difficult to like, it's a very saturated area, whereas in Illinois, I think I was booking 5 6 parties a weekend. Now it's like one or two every weekend. And when I was in Illinois, I was kind of doing it by myself.
Gotcha.
So I didn't start my company until I lived in Illinois, and I thought I was going to stay there forever. And then I realized that I didn't want to live in the middle of nowhere. And then I moved back to Thousand Oaks and started the company. I moved it here right like January 1st,
COVID.
2020. So I haven't really had a ton of public outdoor, any in-person events. I was doing Zoom calls for a really long time just for free, just to get my name out there. And that's actually how I got a lot of the parties. So
Wow, that's awesome. And Damien should go to Chicago or to Illinois, and he should eat the pizza because it's delicious. And
it
I
then
do
is.
want to
then you
eat.
could also play Fat Thor with me. We'll just take
It's
turns.
only going to take just one slice to get me there. I'm almost there.
It's so good. All right, that's
Kate,
awesome.
I wish you well. I am so excited to see where this goes.
It's cool.
I definitely would love to have you back on the show to interview you more with your other performers, and I think this would be something fun
Yeah.
to talk about more. But until then, where can folks find you on social media and maybe some of those that you've mentioned?
Yeah, so oh yeah, I mentioned Ashley. So she's also a singer. She has music out on all streaming platforms. Her Instagram is at Ashley Rose Lily, 2 L's for Lily. She's so wonderful. We're actually singing. I'm her backup singer in her group. We're playing at I don't remember, but it's somewhere in LA next weekend. It's on her Instagram. And then my Instagram is at Practically Perfect Parties VC, as in Ventura County. And our
Awesome.
website is the same, practicallyperfectpartiesvc.com.
Definitely go look for her. You won't regret, and definitely book her. James, where can we find you on the social medias, internets?
You can go to at the Clean Comedy Podcast. That is my handle for Instagram, and I have new podcasts dropping every Tuesday. So they're there every Tuesday, and we're about to hit 300 episodes. Yay!
Woo,
Okay.
congrats. All right, you can find us at collectively www.makingitgeek.com. If not, you can find me, Damien _DeCarlo. Until next time, everybody, keep calm and geek on.